suddenly, on the sonar screen, was the shape of a giant shark. You can see the fin, the face. It was about 50, 60 feet long. And for a moment there, everybody on that ship just froze. There's a shark of unimaginable proportions just under this boat.
It started as a normal dive, the kind of footage marine teams capture every year, especially in places known for great white activity. Cameras rolling, divers steady, everyone focused on getting clean shots of one of the ocean's most powerful predators. Then something on the sonar froze the entire crew.
There was a 50-foot sonar ping that resembled a very large shark, which was quite extraordinary. Many people online started to speculate that it was our first evidence that there is a large shark out there, possibly Megalodon.
A great white shark moved calmly through the water. At first, nothing seemed unusual. But as the shark came closer, one diver noticed something that didn't belong. A mark. Not a scratch, not a scar from a hunt. Something far more deliberate. Whatever caused that wound wasn't a boat, and it wasn't accidental. It was something that had tried to bite her. And the size of that bite didn't make sense.
There's so much mystery surrounding this because looking at this picture of this mako, this thing looks humongous. It seriously did cause some speculation as to what kind of mega predator could have caused a bite this big.
The setting, where the deep begins. The encounter happened near Isla Guadalupe, a remote volcanic island off the coast of Baja California, and one of the most well-known gathering points for great white sharks. The surrounding waters drop quickly into deep ocean trenches, creating a layered environment where surface life and deep-sea ecosystems overlap. Every year, great whites come here because of the abundance of prey. For divers, it's one of the few places where observing these sharks in natural behavior is possible. But even here, where 15-foot sharks are considered normal, this one stood out. Not because of her size, but because of what she was carrying. The bite that shouldn't exist. As the shark swam past the cages, the full extent of the injury became clear. The scar formed a near-perfect ring around her midsection, as if something had attempted to clamp down on her entire body. Great white sharks are not fragile animals. Their skin is covered in dermal denticles, tiny tooth-like structures that make their hide incredibly tough. Leaving a deep, permanent mark requires serious force. Yet this bite did exactly that. The geometry of the wound raised further questions. The spacing suggested a jaw far wider than any known great white in the area could produce. Even the largest recorded individuals don't have the mouth structure needed to create that kind of circular imprint. And still, she survived. Which means whatever attacked her didn't finish the job. Why this shouldn't have happened. Despite advanced technology, we've explored only about 5% of the ocean. The rest remains largely untouched, especially the deeper zones where sunlight doesn't reach. Isla Guadalupe sits right on the edge of those depths. Below the surface, the seafloor drops into massive underwater canyons, ecosystems with extreme pressure, total darkness, and conditions completely different from the world above. When something from that environment leaves evidence near the surface, it stands out. The scar wasn't just an injury, it was a signal. Shark behavior doesn't explain this. Scientists first looked at the most obvious explanation, another shark. Great whites follow a hierarchy when they gather. Larger individuals dominate smaller ones. But those encounters follow patterns, targeting sensitive areas like the head or gills, with bites used as warnings or dominance displays. Even in serious fights, the damage rarely forms a clean, circular shape around the body. This wound didn't match that behavior. It wasn't a warning bite. It looked like something had tried to grab and hold her in place. How big would the attacker have to be? If it were a shark, the next question became unavoidable. How big? The injured female was already around 15 feet long. For something to attempt that kind of bite, it would need to be dramatically larger. Estimates moved into a range that challenges current records: 25 feet, maybe 30. The largest known great whites rarely exceed 20 feet. A shark in the 30-foot range wouldn't just be rare, it would redefine what we think is possible, ruling out other known predators. The only predator known to hunt great whites is the orca. Intelligent, coordinated hunters capable of taking down animals larger than themselves. In some regions, they've been observed targeting great whites with precision. But the evidence didn't line up. Orcas don't leave circular bite marks. Their attacks involve tearing, not a single crushing bite. The wound was clean, rounded, and consistent with sharp, narrow teeth. That effectively ruled them out. The survival factor: the shark lived. And that tells us something important. A single strike, followed by escape. The predator likely misjudged its target or abandoned the attempt. Either way, the shark broke free. That's why we even know this happened. Because most encounters like this likely don't leave survivors. The Megalodon theory. Once the size and shape of the bite became clear, one theory started gaining attention. Megalodon, an ancient shark believed to have gone extinct around 3.5 million years ago. It could grow over 50 feet long with a bite force strong enough to crush bone. Officially, it's gone, but the bite pattern seemed to match what a smaller or juvenile version might produce. Some argue that deep ocean environments could allow undiscovered populations to survive, isolated and largely unexplored. From a scientific standpoint, there's no direct evidence. What exists instead is coincidence and a wound that happens to resemble what such a creature might leave behind. The deep ocean clues. A separate incident adds weight to the mystery. A tagged great white shark suddenly dove to nearly 2,000 feet. The tag then recorded a rapid temperature spike, suggesting it had entered the body of a warm predator. Days later, the tag resurfaced. Something had eaten it. Something with a body temperature higher than the surrounding ocean. That narrows the possibilities without providing a clear answer. It reinforces the idea that large predators exist in deeper layers, far below where we usually observe marine life. These bathypelagic zones remain among the least understood environments on Earth. Alternative theories that still fit. Not every explanation involves extinct monsters. Some researchers suggest the answer could lie within known species, in forms we haven't documented. Certain animals exhibit abyssal gigantism in extreme environments, growing far beyond their typical size. There's also the possibility of a one-off anomaly. Nature occasionally produces outliers, individual animals growing far beyond average limits due to genetics or environment. Then there's a less obvious theory. Giant and colossal squid have suction cups lined with serrated edges. A defensive strike could create a pattern resembling a bite, especially under water distortion. Unlikely, But in an environment where direct observation is nearly impossible, unusual explanations remain on the table. What the scar really tells us. In the end, the most important detail isn't what made the bite. It's that it happened at all. A great white shark, already one of the ocean's top predators, was attacked by something large enough to leave a wound that doesn't fit any clean category. That changes perspective. The hierarchy we assume, the idea that great whites sit at the top, is incomplete. There are interactions happening below the surface we don't see. Encounters that leave no trace unless something survives to carry the evidence. That scar is one of those rare pieces, a reminder that we're not observing a finished system. We're observing fragments. The final thought. We like to believe we understand the ocean. But moments like this show how much is still missing. One shark, one scar, one brief glimpse into something larger, and no clear answer, which leaves a question that hasn't gone away. Not what attacked her, but how many times this has already happened without anyone ever seeing it.